It is an absolutely fantastic July evening here in the Niagara Falls area. And tonight, Karl and I are going to take you along for a ride with us as we travel over to Fonthill, Ontario, and ultimately make our way to Welland, where we're going to have ourselves a slice of pizza and maybe some fried peppers. So sit back and enjoy a little bit of scenery as we explore the Niagara region today on Dino's Tinker Shed. Now, for those of you who have never ridden in Niagara Falls, I can tell you it can be an incredibly challenging area to ride for a motorcyclist. It's inundated on the weekends with tourists that usually don't know where they're going, and the city itself isn't as well laid out as some newer cities. Now, we just headed west out of the city on Highway 20, making some lefts and rights, just sort of meandering our way west towards Fonthill. Now, on some of these back roads, you can find some interesting things like this old rail trail. Now, it's pretty simple, it's nothing too challenging, but it's fun and the scenery's nice. And honestly, there's some interesting things to ride on it, like this tunnel coming up here that's kind of fun to ride through. Now, if you do choose to take this rail trail, I don't know if it's legit or not, but all we ever see on it is quad and dirt bike trail tracks. But be respectful of any landowners or anybody on the trail. You obviously want to protect the rights to ride on things like this, and I don't think anybody's given anybody any real problems on it, and I would hate to be the one that encourages people to actually get on here and stop the fun. Now, overall, it's a fairly smooth ride, but it is covered in whoop-de-doos, and some of them are pretty big, like this one's coming up here. And certain sections of it, it's basically like a little 12-foot boat on 3-foot swells. It really does kick you around a little bit. And you have to pay attention because it does cross a number of back roads. So make sure to slow down, give the cars the benefit of the doubt, and then have fun instead of getting hurt on it, obviously. And you can kind of see it does get a little bit tight in some sections. The vegetation grows in. It's obviously not a maintained rail trail anymore. And you can kind of see by the ground that it's pretty much dominated by four-wheeler tracks. It gets to be rough enough at times that you actually have to stand up out of the saddle just to, make it work. But here again, good example. Another road that you got to cross. So be patient. Now eventually it does get a little bit thicker and a little bit more challenging as you go. And you can kind of see that dark and the light becomes a bit of a challenge when you're riding, especially if you've got a dark visor like mine. You can actually see my headlight here, even though the sun's still out. It's not that late in the day. And you can see that headlight bouncing on and off. So just be prepared for changes in contrast as you ride. And the odd time you'll see weird things along here like horses. So the ride eventually comes to an end and we get onto some hard surface. And you find your way out to the Merrittville Highway. Now once you're on the Merrittville Highway, you're going to follow that north until you find Holland Road, which is what we're on right here. And this is one of the prettiest roads around Fonthill. Fonthill's just a beautiful city. It's inundated with little houses and beautiful properties and interesting structures like this old drive shed. Now when you see this drive shed, be prepared to make a left onto Hollow Road, and Hollow Road is a beautiful road. You can follow this all the way out to Effingham. But Karl and I do like to take a right-hand turn here at Orchard Road, especially if it's between May and November. Now this road has a section of gravel that is closed from November 29th to April 30th, and you can't ride it. But We're out here this time of the year so we can enjoy the entire road. And again, there's a lot of houses back here. It's not a very wide road, and there are school children that do walk out here on educational tours on certain times of the year. So ride respectfully. Don't draw too much attention to yourself. We've talked to a lot of locals along here. Karl really does like to talk. And you know, they kind of get annoyed sometimes with the amount of traffic. You can kind of see, here's a section of road and we actually pass a sport touring bike in the middle of the woods. Just out in the middle of nowhere. So you can kind of see it's beautiful, beautiful scenery. Really do like it. And we follow this whole trail, this orchard road for about 20 minutes, I would say, of really nice riding here. Now when you get to the end of Orchard Road, you're going to make a left onto Luftman Road and you're going to be heading south, and this is one of our favorite sections here. It is pavement, but it brings us up and around the corner onto some beautiful farm fields here. This is reminiscent of my hometown, and it just feels so free to ride in this area. And it also brings us to one of our favorite features, which is this old barn that's almost completely covered in grapevine now, but it feels like you're riding right through their backyard, unfortunately for them, I guess. But then, you know, there's old trucks and things out here. It's really an interesting ride to actually see. And there is, again, a lot going on in this section. You can see there's no ditches, there's no shoulders on these roads at all. But there's always something going on. Some construction, home improvements, things like that. And anytime you're riding in a narrow little road like this, you have to always keep an eye out for the unexpected. Karl and I were riding along here, a good clip, and all of a sudden here comes a wiggle wagon. So this articulated hauler was doing some work on one of the properties, and it takes up pretty much the entire road, so we gave them birth. Now, when you get to the end of this road, you're going to be touching on to Effingham Road, which is one of the nicest sport touring rides on a motorcycle you can have around Fonthill. It's a fairly heavy traffic road, and we're just going to hop on it and we're going to head south towards Welland. We're getting a little bit nibbly by this point. So you can kind of see, we just grabbed some paved roads and headed up towards Welland. We did make some time to go through the Welland Tunnel here, just so you can kind of see it. It's kind of a neat thing. This takes you underneath the Welland Canal that's actually active. And there's 3 tunnels like this along the Welland Canal. It's kind of interesting to ride through. From here, we're just about into Welland, Ontario. You can kind of see we've got a little roundabout to go here. This takes us around the corner. I'm going to follow this Harley and catch up to him. And it brings us into downtown Welland. You can see one of the old lift bridges from the out of commission canal, which is a great place if you even want to ride your bicycle. There's a trail that runs the entire length here. By now, I know Karl and I were getting hungry, so we headed towards our destination for pizza, which is just up the road here, and it is the Rex Hotel. Now, the Rex may not look like much from the outside. It's a pretty rough and tumble bar hotel kind of thing, but the pizza is great. So we went in for a slice. Well, all right, I'll be honest, we each ordered our own pizza, but we did bring some home. And the Rex has some of the best pizza in the Niagara region, believe it or not. Karl and I both had our own. I had some roasted peppers, he had some chicken wings, and then we were back out onto the road again. Now, once we got here, we had a little bit of a discussion.
Want to head towards the lake or something, or? I don't know, whatever you want to do. Go left. I'll follow you. Okay.
And south it was. So we followed the old Welland Canal, I don't know, for a little ways. It's kind kind of a nice night. You can see the sun starting to set here in the west just as we turn onto the Welland Parkway here, the Welland Canal Parkway, and it's beautiful along here. Like I say, you can walk your dog or ride your bike or take your motorcycle out for a ride. And this is also home to the Sculling Rowing Club on the other side of the river here. And I think you can just kind of see it poking in. And so you can come out and watch these people train. Some of them are world champions. They've been to the Olympics. It's really, really a great sport. And there's quite the facility here right on the river itself. There it is. And we still took a little bit of opportunity after this. We found ourselves another little bit of dirt that we were able to get some on our tires here and ride around on. It's kind of fun. There's not a lot of dirt around Niagara Region, but there's a couple little pockets that you can kind of find. We rode around like this for a while, a few other clay roads and that in the region, but you know, like I say, the sun's starting to get a little bit long here, and eventually we decided we better just start heading east again towards Niagara Falls. And eventually we found ourselves back on the pavement. I like riding this time of the night. I don't know about you. It starts to cool off a little bit. It went from a staggeringly hot afternoon to where the sun starts to set and the temperature drops down into the low 20s. And I honestly think that drivers are friendlier this time of the night, and riders too. I get more waves from Harley guys this time of the night than I do any other time of the day. I think they just realize if you're out riding at this time of the night, you just like to ride. So the roads led us back towards Niagara Falls, and eventually we ended up back in town. And there's the water tower, and almost home. So this ride took us, you know, with the pizza, a couple hours. We had a great time, and I encourage any of you to come to Niagara Falls and enjoy the ride around here. It was really a lot of fun.